States, many security companies are adopting a style of security called the security theater. And what this does is creates the perception of security by going and implementing measures that provide the illusion that security measures are being taken without actually taking measures. And while this seems like a good idea, they overlook the fact that this is incredibly costly to the United States, and perceptual security is not as effective as real security. CNN explains on August 5th of 2015 that in the United States, with the Colorado shooting, there were 70 people wounded and many more dead. And in Louisiana, there's also a similar issue with 11 people wounded in a movie theater shooting and more people also dead. And finally, just recently, in the outskirts of Tennessee, we find another situation of movie theater violence, except this one was intercepted by the FBI and a SWAT team. But it is clear that in the United States we have a significant issue with gun violence in secluded and recreational areas, movie theaters. And with the lives of many individuals on the line, it is imperative that we evaluate what measures can be taken in order to prevent further occurrences of these kinds of violence. Thus, it is imperative we ask today's question. Should U.S. movie theaters adopt TSA-style security measures? And our answer is no, because the TSA is incredibly ineffective. This is first, because of the significant cost. Second, because of the negative sentiment that they bring. And finally, because they are just purely ineffective. In the United States, we have a significant budget deficit. And much of the money that is being brought on by the TSA is not private money, but money coming from the government, as their budget as of right now is $7.9 billion annually. Thus, the first reason why TSA measures are not effective is because of how much they cost and how little they bring to the table. The Boston Globe explains on August 17 of 2015 that the TSA security scanners being brought into airports cost a total of $160 million to implement across the United States. But in the United States, there are many more movie theaters than there are airports. Thus, this is first going to be a financial burden to movie theaters, putting them out of business, because many movie theaters are not going to be able to adopt these kinds of safety precedents because they won't be able to afford them across the board. And this second creates the issue of many people not wanting to go to these said movie theaters because they don't necessarily want to be scrutinized on that level. It's going to be more expensive for them to buy movie tickets and more expensive for them to go and enjoy the movies, and also more timely. Thus, movies are not going to become a recreational activity, but more of a recreational burden. And the movie industry is going to suffer exponentially if less people are going and seeing these movies. It's also going to increase the rates of piracy, because it is more logical for these individuals to go into movie theaters, or instead of going to movie theaters, to pirate something on the internet, as opposed to actually buying it. And as Forbes explains on October 8th of 2014, the money that is going to these security individuals, or to the TSA, is only being shared by 60,000 individuals. This also requires movie theaters to go and employ more actual trained individuals, also proving another financial deficit that the movie theaters are going to have to be taking on. And this is going to significantly burden them. But also, let's not forget the negative sentiment that happens with the racial profiling when people are going to the airport. This is the second reason why the TSA security measures should not be implemented on a movie theater level, because it brings these sentiments to a local level. Politico explains on August 17th of 2015 that in the United States, with the TSA, there is a precedent towards racial profiling. They look to specific races in order to derive potential means or signs of weapons on them. And the fact is, many individuals in a poll by Gallup explain that they feel scrutinized every time they go through airport security. And while the Washington Post explains on December 9th of 2014, President Obama put a precedent out in a law to stop racial profiling within security. But this actually neglected the TSA and even local police. It was only talking about specifically the FBI. So the fact is, bringing the TSA into the movie theater level is not only going to take from them financially, but also people are not going to be wanting to partake in this because they don't want to have this racist level brought into on a local level. This is not only going to be exacerbating negative feelings towards the TSA, but also negative feelings of racism, exacerbating the racism sentiments that we're already struggling with in the United States today. And finally, the fact that TSA does not have effective security measures and have been ineffective in how they've been implementing air support security on the national level is imperative to evaluate, because this is the third reason why TSA should not be implemented on a movie theater level, because it puts a theory of complacency in these and does not allow for improvement. The Los Angeles Times explains, or the Dallas Morning News explains, on June 3rd of 2015, that 67 to 70% of gun or fake hand weapons in a TSA security evaluation went undetected by the security agents. And with the political tell-all by a former TSA agent, he said that he could think of more than 100 ways to effectively sneak weapons through airport security, even with guns and things such as this, being a security agent and knowing what he knew. And the Los Angeles Times explains on June 9th of 2015 that in the TSA tell-all, 95% of weapons were actually not detected because the former study only evaluated handguns. And the fact is, in the United States, these are going to be implemented on such a financial detriment to movie theaters. It is imperative for them to realize that the effectivity is going, or that having these on a local level is going to show that these might be the ultimatum to movie theater security. And it also shows that there's nothing left to be changed about TSA. So instead of fueling the fire and helping them economically and make their name bigger by implementing them on movie theater levels, it is imperative for TSA to be shown, or it is imperative for companies to show that TSA is not an effective body when providing security. Thus, we're returning to today's question. Should U.S. movie theaters begin or adopt TSA-style security? The answer is no, because the TSA is incredibly ineffective. When we first consider cost, second, the negative racist sentiments that center around TSA, and finally, we're considering how incredibly ineffective they are.
Right. Almost 7:30. That was mainly my fault, though. I did miss a lot of time signals.
It's okay. That was no